Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. So yesterday off of stream, I made a decent, why do I have two Alchemortis boards open? I made a decent dent in all of my outstanding bugs. I guess I didn't, there's one extra one here that I didn't do. So I made a big dent into my outstanding bugs. I'm just trying to get a good handle on all these bugs. It is going to be important for a lot of these things to be fixed for the demo, which is what we're working towards right now. So I've got a couple of leftover things that I do want to do in terms of bug fixes. And then we might go into some new content today as well, because I don't really want to fix all of these. Some of these I can't reproduce, some of the reported bugs in the Discord. Some of the bugs were fixed by other things that I did, so that's always nice when you get a bug fixed because you reworked some code. Fix one bug, introduce 5 others, I guess. But anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting on Steam. The playtest is also still up, but it is going to end sometime this week. It could be, a couple days from now. It could be tomorrow. It could be at the end of the week. I don't really know. Kind of gonna have to talk to my publisher about when we want to end it. But so you still have a little bit of time to try the playtest, but it is going to be ending very soon. So get your final runs in if you want to try it out. You can also support the game on Patreon if you subscribe at the sponsored tier here for at least 1 month. I'm going to send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and your name will be listed in the in-game Alchemortis credits. This is only going to be available though until the game actually releases, so only a couple months left to grab this if you want to put your name in the credits of the next big indie hit. And I also have my Udemy courses, which are available for purchase. Those will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine, and also a great way to help me out. Okay, all right. Good morning, Ninja Link. Welcome. Good to see you. That was really fun watching you play Alchemortis last night. Very, very cool indeed. Hello, Mohal. Welcome. Necromantic, good to see you. Morning it is again. Yes, indeed. Hello, Wuius. Welcome. Ninja Link on a 185 stream streak. Dang. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of streams. That's a lot of streams. Hello, Gimmety. Welcome. Alrighty. Emerson, good to see you. Welcome. Good morning to all, and to all a good morning. So there were some discussions happening in the Discord yesterday about a certain Hellspawn egg and how it works. There is a bug in here that I want to fix, but I don't know if I want to do that right now. Let's see. What have we got on the other bugs? I was going to fix the draft of coagulation first, and we'll fix the magnifying glass as well. So this says draft of coagulation on items being upgraded always says number of heal to 1. So this is another upgrade tooltip bug. I wonder why that's happening, but we could test it out. So debug, enable test player artifacts, get rid of this, draft. I don't think it really matters what items I have. Hello, VMtura. Morning, all good. Alrighty. So we put these together. Draft of coagulation, heal 2. And then if I go to a upgrade, this will show heal 2 to 1. Okay, so that's interesting. Why is that happening? So the reason why that's happening is I think I have to remember how the upgrade preview works. I think there's a tier preview in here. I think this may actually be a problem. Tier Where is that tier preview stuff? Show tooltip. Oh, cards. Why is it not? Oh, I have regex enabled. Tier preview. There we go. Okay, so we've got the card tier preview. We're calling configure for ability. Compose abilities tier preview. So if we look at the tier preview here, get upgrade diff description. So what this is doing is so the problem, here is when I create those diffs for the upgrade event, what I'm essentially doing is I'm going over every ability and I'm saying get upgrade diff description. And get upgrade diff description has a target tier here. So if I have a tier preview value, it will do the get upgrade diff description, exclude prefixes false, I guess. And it gets a description override from that. So what ends up happening is I pass the upgraded version of the ability, the scaled up version of the ability into this get upgrade diff description. And then essentially what I do is I mean, there's a little bit of it's a little bit confusing here, but essentially what I do is I just replace all of the parameters, the parameter override func. So, which makes sense, right? So let me just see if I can think of like a typical ability. Let's just go to the ability builder, damage. So the description of the ability will be formatted something like this, right? Deal 0 damage. This is like a string template, right? So this is going to be dynamically replaced with whatever number the damage is equal to. And that is provided by the description template parameters func here. And all this is this is just a function that when I invoke it returns an array where each index of the array corresponds to whatever string template needs to be replaced, right? So curly braces 0 will be replaced by the 0th element in the array, etc. So the nice thing though is that when I'm generating diffs, all I really need to do is just like provide a different description template parameters func, right? So if I have a damage value that's going to go up, then all I really need to do is just construct a new parameters func with that damage increased. And now I have a way of diffing, right? Because I can invoke the parameter function from the base ability and invoke the parameter function of the scaled up ability. And then I can look at the different, or I can look at the each parameter in that array, and I can compare them against each other. And I can say, okay, if they're different, then that means that I need to show the upgrade like green text, right? And if they're the same, if the template parameter values, if the parameter values are the same, then I don't need to show any diff, right? So that's the strategy that I'm taking. I think it's rather clever. The problem with draft specifically, though, is that the damage value, or the heal value rather, is coming from this generic value provider, which is reading captured alchemization count. And the captured alchemization count is just a non-combat ability. So actually, why is this not... That should be updated, actually. Actually, yeah, I feel like that should be updated. Let's see, upgrade container. I didn't turn off ignore contingent state updates. Oh, right, it's going from 2 to 1. So the original value is correct. The problem is it's going back down to 1, right? So the problem is I'm duplicating this ability fundamentally to generate a comparison. I'm duplicating the ability, but the problem is because the ability is never re-executed, I'm losing this captured alchemization count. So that's the problem. Is this alchemization count even stored in the save file? It is, okay. So what am I going to do about this? There's an alternate way of doing this, which is that instead of duplicating the ability, well, no, I have to duplicate it. There is a more roundabout way that I can go about doing this, but I don't know if that's going to be a good thing. Instead of duplicating the ability, what I could do is I could scale the ability up to the desired tier, capture the template parameters that would change by that, and then scale it back down to the standard tier. Is that going to cause any problems? Add tier preview. I mean, this is, I just want to go in the base composed ability, I guess. So I'm actually duplicating get upgrade diff description into target tier. Actually, maybe... Why is this so... Right, I need to insert the diff arrows into it. Formatted current. Oh, I see. So this is not exactly working the way that I thought it was. You're right. So what I do, okay, so it's a little bit different than what I said. So it's not just a strict comparison of the two different parameter arrays. What I'm actually doing is I'm comparing the two different arrays. So I take the base ability and I take the scaled ability, and I take those two parameter arrays and I match them up, right? So I just make sure that they're the same length, etc., right? But then what I'm doing in here is I'm actually, instead of returning the type, so let's just say that the first element in the parameter array is an integer, right? Instead of returning an integer out of this parameter override func, I'm actually returning a string. And the reason I'm doing that is it's a BB code string where I can put the arrow icon and then also wrap the other thing in that green color. So I'm actually taking that whole chunk, that whole I wish I knew the right word for this. The string template, so the curly braces 0, curly braces 1, instead of replacing that with an integer, which would typically be the case, I'm actually constructing a whole chunk of BB code to insert at that position. Which is fine. I mean, I don't think there's any other way for me to do that. I think what I need to do, though, is parameter override func. There's a part of me that wants to just try scaling it. int target tier. So we're going to do current parameters is equal to that. We're going to say scale for tier, target tier, new parameters is equal to description template parameters func.invoke, and then scale for tier. Let's just store the original tier. Oh, I don't have the original tier. I don't actually store the tier on the abilities. Oh, that's unfortunate. Do I need to store the original tier now? I mean, I guess I do. That's okay. Original tier, original tier. So if I just do a scale and then another scale, so I capture those parameters from the upgraded version, and then I capture the parameters from the not upgraded version, and I just wrap that very carefully. So hopefully that just resets it back to where it's supposed to be. And this, you know, there's a low chance of this causing issues anyway, because this scale for tier is called quite frequently, actually, I think. Scale abilities for tier. Update tier. Update composed abilities. Maybe it's not. Update tier. Well, this should be fine. I think that will be okay. I don't know, we'll see. Base card, oops, card dot tier. Oops. Just make sure. Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. So, okay. Return, get description. So now I don't even need to duplicate that anymore. And what that should do is that should remove any issues where some internal state of the ability is being lost as a part of the duplicate. Because I may have some state that is like coming from a passive. And the problem is if I just straight up duplicate the ability, a lot of that state is computed. And so it actually needs to be re-executed to rebuild that state. And I don't have a way of doing that in this context. So I'm just going to scale it, grab the new parameters and scale it back. And that should hopefully be fine. Yeah, I think that's relatively low risk because there's nothing that happens in between here and here. So it should be okay. It should be all right. I'm going to have to obviously test this pretty thoroughly, but I think that's going to be all right. Card upgrade is 7. Okay, let's take a gander. Good to see y'all too. Hi, quick question. I'm only 10% into my game's MVP and already overwhelmed by what's left. Seeing your even bigger to-do list made me wonder, how do you stay motivated? I feel like doing more little games rather than one 3-month project, but even when it comes to MVP, it's so much work. I mean, yeah, there's I have to figure out what to do about this. I mean, game development is just a lot of work. You know, I have I have experience, you know, as a software engineer working professionally. I have a number of other hobbies. game development is by far the hardest and most labor-intensive thing that I do on a regular basis. Like, it's not even close. So that's just a problem with game dev, is like it is an enormous amount of effort, an enormous amount of work. And there's really no getting around that. Like, obviously you can manage your scope, you can make a more focused experience, but there's just so much going on. Like, even a small project is going to have a mountain of work that you need to do. And so, yeah, there's nothing you can really do about that. But in terms of staying motivated, I think, like I usually say, it's not really a question of motivation, it's a question of discipline, right? It's like the old adage, like, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So it is a mountain, but you just like chip away at it consistently and regularly. And if you do that for 6 months, you'll also have a mountain of work that you've finished, right? So it can be overwhelming, but it's more, I find that the mindset is more helpful. Just like focus on making consistent and steady progress regularly. And before you know it, like there's going to be a mountain of work behind you that you've already completed. So it's really the discipline that's going to get you through, right? It's the consistent effort, the consistent work. And that doesn't mean that you need to spend your time doing things that you don't need to do. I think you should still look at ways to cut your scope and cut your content and make your thing more focused. I mean, I'm in that point right now. Like just last night, I was fixing a bug where the Primeval Hand artifact, which deals damage to you in exchange for increasing the amount of status stacks you apply. The problem is it kills brittle bones immediately, right? And so I spent like a half an hour going down this rabbit hole of like, how do I make it so that artifacts can defer their abilities until after the statuses have been applied? And that ended up becoming a whole mess and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm at the point in development where I don't have time to add more complexity to my systems. I need to work within the constraints of what I've already built. And so what I did is I just changed the Primeval Hand to not trigger off of armor. Fixed. Now Brittle Bones doesn't die, right? And it's like, it's those kinds of things that you need to think about. Like there comes a point where you actually need to rein yourself in and give yourself some hard constraints and work within those constraints. And not only will that reduce your workload, but that can actually help with motivation too, because then you're not spending all your time solving these really hard problems. You're just working within the confines of what you've already built and trying to squeeze as much out of that as possible. So anyway, I don't know if any of that helps, but that's how I think about it. Discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation is great when it comes, but it's not a reliable thing to stake your development progress on. Hello, Necromantic. Welcome. Or wait, were you already here? You were already here. I'm not saying hello to you again, but thank you for the emojis. What do you think of computer science university degrees? Did you go for one in pursuit of software engineering? How was the experience? Was it worth it? Well, my degree is in game development and simulation programming. So it was like a hybrid computer science degree, but it was more in the game development sort of flavor. So we spent less time on theory and more time on like practical application stuff. And what that means is like, we even made like a simple game in freshman year using Pygame. But we also I had an operating systems class where we made like a quote unquote operating system, a compiler class where we took some kind of grammar, parsed it, and then compiled it down into assembly. So we've got like the theoretical, but it was like applied, like this was like stuff we actually had to build. And then of course we did work in game engines and stuff. And there was a period of time where we also made our own like 3D renderer using, well, it wasn't that sophisticated. Or I don't remember it actually. Anyway, we used like WebGL to make our own like 3D engine kind of thing, which was, basically setting up. The only thing I really remember from that is setting up the camera matrices. So we actually had like all of the data points, right? The vertices, the vertices in space and everything. And we had actually define like a camera matrix and use that to render everything to the screen. So we weren't using like an engine which handles that for you. We were actually doing the linear algebra to like convert the camera matrix into like a 2D view of the screen. Anyway, that's all a tangent. Did I go for one in pursuit of software engineering? I did not. I just did it for game development. And how was the experience? Was it worth it? No, emphatically no. It was not worth it. There was a handful of classes where I learned some cool stuff, but for the most part, it was just a waste of time. It was a waste of time and money. I was fortunate enough, I had a tuition scholarship, so the only thing I was paying for was room and board. But yeah, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it wasn't worth it, because I did make a lot of friends in college who I'm still in contact with, and I don't regret that at all, obviously. So, but professionally, no, it wasn't helpful at all. What is the origin of the name? Why Belly instead of Belly? Oh, that's a good question. Hello, RigDev. So Firebelly, the reason why my name is Firebelly is because when I first signed up for online multiplayer games, I was like, I don't know, I think I was probably 11 or 12 or something. And I asked my dad to set up an account for me so I could play online games and like fight other people in shooters and whatnot, right? And we were trying to think of a name for myself. And at the time, I had a Firebelly toad as a pet. It was a little frog that was just in my bedroom in a terrarium or a paludarium, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so I was like, oh, okay. So we originally had it spelled the normal way, Firebelly, with just a Y on the end, no EY. And then when it came time, like I got a PS3 for Christmas one year, and then it came time to sign up for a PlayStation account, somebody had already taken the name Firebelly spelled normally. And at that point, I was already used to the name, so we just put an EY at the end, and that's what stuck. And the benefit of that, too, is that now when I go to sign up for services and I use the EY ending, it's like almost never the case that that name is taken. So yeah, that's how it stuck. It's a very interesting origin story. Villain origin. Hello, Light Tiramisu. Hello, December A. I was a merc code monkey doing React. That was easy mode. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you could say about software engineering, but if you're been moderately talented, you could do pretty well for yourself in that field. Hello, Slate the Gamer. Even easier than Ruby on Rails. Don't make me cry. I think you have to start slow and build a record of wins. It's a muscle. Yes, that's true. The only way to drag a big project across the finish line is just to do something at a consistent rate. Even if you do 1% each time, you repeat that 99 times, you'll be finished. Right, exactly. Exactly. Hello, Crappy Crafter. Yeah. I mean, even just doing, I would put it in terms of tasks, right? If you've got 1,000 tasks to do and you do one task a day, you'll have a third of it done after a year. Obviously, you should probably try to do more than that and reduce the amount of tasks that you have to do, but yeah. Game dev is my favorite flavor, especially in ice cream. Hello, V. See, you're fixing the draft to coagulation bug? Nice, thanks. So was it just the preview? Yeah, it's just the preview. You're going through the bugs reported on Steam. Yeah, I mean, every bug that you guys report gets logged, and I kind of just prioritize them. I investigate them. Sometimes the bugs turn out not to be actual bugs. They're just like clarity issues. Sometimes I can't reproduce the bug. Those are the ones that make me concerned. And other times the bug is easily reproducible. And like usually the bugs in this game are pretty easy to fix. They're usually just like minor oversights that need to be addressed. But so yeah, I mean, I let the bug backlog get to like 20 or 25 items. And then it gets to that sort of like critical mass where I'm like, okay, I don't feel easy about knowing about all these bugs. So then I try to address as many of them as possible in a short time frame. So yeah, the goal is, like bug fixing is a very high priority for me, especially for the demo. I don't want players to notice any bugs. That's the goal anyway. I'm not going to make my goal to make the game bug free. I want to make the goal the player doesn't notice the bugs, right? And then also, of course, after release, bug fixing will be my priority, especially in the first couple of weeks. I think that's the number one thing is like I need to make sure the game works as intended, and then, you know, content is sort of like a second but almost equal priority. You're totally right about the scope. I built one crazy complex mechanic and looking at 10 more feels overwhelming. I definitely need to scale them down. Yeah, a good exercise is like, it's okay if you have one complex mechanic, but then try to limit yourself to that one thing. Like try to squeeze as much out of that single mechanic as possible, right? Try to make everything in your game either serve or go through or interact with that mechanic in some way. And that may not be enough. Like you might need to add some extra stuff, but especially in like a smaller scope game, like a game jam game, I find that I get the best results personally from my game jam games when I just come up with one solid mechanic and then I just try to explore that mechanic as much as possible. Without like, because the temptation is always, okay, that's pretty cool, but what if I added X, Y, and Z thing? And what that does, like almost paradoxically, is that actually muddies your game. It makes the design less clear. It makes the design more complex. It gives you more problems to solve. And so just cutting it down to like one core mechanic and then trying to squeeze as much out of that one mechanic as possible is actually a great way of like corralling yourself into making something that's pretty good, I would say. Oh gosh, there's so much chat. I'm not going to get any work done today. It's okay. We were in college at the time where college was still kind of a thing you needed to get a job, so that was a natural thing to do too. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, look, when I was 18 years old, I already had a job offer from a local software company. There was this guy, he was a family friend, so there's a little bit of nepotism going on, but we'll set that aside. And he was like, hey, if you skip college, I'll give you a job right here, right now. I'll hire you right now. I was like, man, I should take that. But of course, everyone else was saying, no, you should just go to college. You've got this scholarship. Why not? And if I have one regret in life, my one regret is probably not taking that job and skipping college. But like I said, I can't really call it a true regret because of the friends I made. So like, it's not a big deal. But if I could do one thing differently in my life, that would be that. Your Club Penguin account name was sniped. No, I never played Club Penguin. Same reason I use Wooius everywhere. It's never taken. Yeah, I can imagine that's true, yeah. Experience improving, that experience gained more importance. Doing personal projects, events, hackathons, getting acquaintances very valuable. Yeah, the number one thing you can do to get a job is network. That is the thing that is going to help you above all else. In my experience anyway. I've gotten several of the jobs that I've gotten just by knowing somebody or working with somebody who left the company, started work 6 months later, like, hey, we need more engineers. Do you want to interview? I could put in a recommendation for you. So networking is very important. But yeah, I mean, it got to the point where I wasn't even putting my college degree on my resume anymore. It just like, because it kind of was not in a related field. I mean, game development, simulation programming, but also my work experience was just more impressive anyway. So there was no point to put, you know, my degree on there. I think my degree is in a box somewhere in the basement. That's how much I care about it. The software engineer gold rush is over. Yeah, so there's a part of this too where I was like, you know, I was employed during the ZERP era, right? So like there was just a bunch of like money flying around. So it was relatively easy to just find a job. So I was very fortunate to like be working during that era. I don't know what the job market is like now because I've been out of that field for 2 years now. So if Alchemy Mortis doesn't do well, I'm going to go back into that world, and from what I hear, it's not nearly as gravy train as it was before. So we'll see. My username is a nickname I got while in German Armed Forces. Oh, cool. That is very cool. I already was a software developer at the time I got to college, and it was a waste of time. 12 years working as a software engineer, I learned everything working. Yeah, the same story for me too. I learned so much more in like 6 months of a professional job than I did at the entirety of college. They're quietly rehiring, but CS greater than software engineer any day. I learned everything at work too. School is basically an introduction to every subject you should go after your own. You know what really turned me off of college, and maybe this is just true of the United States, but so college is supposed to be this institution of higher learning, right? Well, of course you have to take the general classes. So I had to take like just a very basic like English class. For some reason, I was in honors English the entire time during high school, and I got good grades. And for whatever reason, the college was like, no, you got to take an English class freshman year. I was like, okay. So I took English class, and I kid you not, we spent 3 class periods. So there was only 2 classes a week, right? So we spent a week and a half essentially going over the proper use of commas, which is something that I did in like 6th grade. And that was the moment where I was like, oh no, what have I done? Now, look, I don't use commas perfectly, but does it really take, like, you could figure out how to use commas properly from a Google search. All the professor needs to do is go, hey, you didn't use commas properly, minus 5,000 points. And then you go, oh, let me look this up. And you read like a 1-paragraph blog post, and you're like, okay, good, I got it now. I don't know, maybe I'm just too salty. When does improving the onboarding tutorial come in? That will be done before the demo. I have that up as one of my priority items. I still don't have a good idea of how to do that, but I'm chewing on it in the background. Switching my major to game development this year, we'll be using Godot and Unity, so I hope group projects. Luckily, Uni is free in my country. Yeah, that's the other thing, too, that I should caveat is, like, these are all considerations that I made being American. If you live in a country where it's basically free, I mean, you might as well do it, right? But in the United States, obviously, there's a lot more cost associated with it. And so, you know, like, if somebody's going to ask me, hey, should I go $50,000 into debt to get a CS degree? My first reaction would be probably not. Probably not. I see too many indie devs make their game complex as heck. It's a huge turnoff. Welcome, Injust. There hasn't been any activity in those threads, so I was slightly worried, but I suspected you were too busy to acknowledge every single bug. Yeah, I can't acknowledge everything that comes to the Discord, but I do read everything. Like I stay on top of the Discord, I read it all. I pull out the suggestions and the bugs, and I log all that stuff in the board here. So everything is being captured to the best of my ability. I'm sure maybe I miss 1 or 2 things, but yeah, everything's being captured. I'm listening to all the feedback for sure. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. College is more social than educational. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun social experience for sure. I feel like if you took that job, you'd always be questioning what your life would have been like if you had went to college. Grass is always greener. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my attitude too. Like, I don't know if I'd really say that it's a true regret. It's just like, if I could identify one thing that I would have done differently, then maybe it would be that. But I tend to have that mindset too. It's like, well, I made the decision that I made, and I'm happy with my life as it is now. So, like, if somebody actually showed up with a time machine and said, hey, would you want to go back in time and change it? I'd be like, no, I'm good with my life. Thank you. I went to faculty that only accepts top 0.5 students in my country. I have an engineering degree that is worth nothing now, a waste of time. Yeah, see, isn't that weird? If it's actually true that they take the top 0.5% and you get a degree from that, that'd be like getting a degree from Harvard or Yale in the United States and not being able to find a job. Like, at that point, there's got to be something wrong, right? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just a guy. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's stop telling these kids not to go to college. How did you get the work experience in the first place? How do you find opportunities to network? Well, the work experience, when I was 18 years old, my experience mostly just came from just doing hobby projects. I also, there was a local, I don't know what you would call it, it was an organization that was basically there's an organization in my area where a bunch of local software or tech companies are members of. And it's kind of like this conference thing. I don't know how you would describe it, which is basically just like an excuse for all of these local tech companies to like get together, to share knowledge, to pool resources, to acquire talent, whatever else, right? And that organization hosted competitions for high schoolers to do like web design stuff. So basically the competition was you make a website, submit it by the due date for these companies to judge. And then the first place and second place and third place would get some kind of scholarship. I don't remember the exact amount of money, but it was a pretty hefty amount of money for a high schooler back in that day. So me and a couple friends, we did that stuff in high school. We did the competition, I think, 2 or 3 times, and we won first place every time. And so that obviously helps with networking, right? So it's already this local organization where there's a bunch of tech companies looking for local talent. They're hiring, or they're putting out these competitions for high schoolers to do, and then you win the competition, and it's like, that opens up networking opportunities for sure. So I'm not saying that it's something easy to do. It's just something that, that was an option to me personally. And so yeah. In the virus era, I got some crazy offers. There's no going back now, just AI. Yeah. Just don't go bankrupt for it. You need work. Yeah, it's a circular dependency. A lot of college students can't write. Some even struggle with reading comprehension. I got lucky. I was able to get college credits for my high school senior English classes. Yeah, I don't know why my credits didn't transfer over. I don't know. Teaching generics is usually a waste these days. Thank God I live in Germany. I didn't have to go to debt for my CS degrees. I meant Steam discussions threads. Oh, I need to check that. Right. I need to check that. Let me write that down. I didn't even realize that people were posting there. A cabal. Basically, it lives in Silicon Valley. I do not live in Silicon Valley. I live in Ohio, which is not only not Silicon Valley, but it's like the opposite of Silicon Valley. Creating a 2D geometric graphics game inspired by God of War and Resident Evil. It's like just become some kind of story or anything else. I do not know. I do not know. Maybe somebody else can give you ideas. How do you see the AI use in game development, especially your case, indie dev? I like to use the AI coding tools for like code review, bug fixes, architectural discussions, and planning. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a very useful tool. Like any tool, it's like, you just got to know how to use it, right? We don't need to go into this discussion again, but yeah, using the AI to write your code for you, I think is a mistake. But I've been using it, especially recently, to do code reviews. So I implement a feature or I fix a bug, and then I tell Claude, hey, look at my diffs, and first of all, confirm that I addressed the bug sufficiently, and second of all, identify any edge cases or unintended side effects that may have been introduced by this change. And a lot of times it goes, nope, it's sound, ship it. And then other times it goes, well, there's this situation you didn't think of, and there's this bit of code over here that might be dead now, and so on and so forth. So I find that that's really useful. Just having, especially as a solo dev, like, especially when the game gets released, like when Alchemortis is released, then I need to be really careful about like not breaking save files and not introducing any new bugs. I'm probably going to be leaning on that quite heavily to verify that the changes that I'm making are safe. And of course, I'll do my own testing on the staging branches and stuff to make extra sure, but having that extra reinforcement, that like second set of eyes, so to speak, on the changes that I'm making, it if nothing else, it gives me more confidence in the changes that I'm making, which is really nice. But I check it from time to time. It is popping. I heard from an American friend that some US degrees are practically expire. He said only about 10% of unis are actually reliable and the rest give you a useless degree. It's probably true. It's probably true. That's why you moved to, I don't know how to pronounce that, a city in Poland. He wanted to spend 5 years here to get the degree, though as a foreigner had to pay for tuition. Gotcha. What software are you using here to track everything? Obsidian with the Kanban plugin. That was really helpful. Sorry, Among Us, we can't make your game for you. You have to come up with your own ideas. If you have technical problems or questions, then of course, people are happy to help, but you're asking us to make your story for you, which we can't do. Hello, Budget Jim. All right. I have to figure out why this is not working. Get upgrade diff description, new wrapper. See, I've been talking for so long, I completely forgot where I was at in this. That's okay. It's all right. Let's see. Get upgrade diff description for new wrapper. Oh, wait, new wrapper. How in the world? All right, there's new chats coming in. I'll work for like 5 or 10 minutes and then I'll catch up on the chat again. So new parameters. This is invoking a new. Oh. I don't remember how this works. Upgraded wrapper. Is this? Inner description ability wrapper from fire. So when I do this, so let me think about this. So I capture the current parameters, that returns a new inner ability description wrapper. So I've got the pre-description wrapper, then I scale it for the target tier, then I get the new parameters, which includes the new inner ability description wrapper. But I don't remember, how does this get upgrade diff description work? Like, what did I delete here? Base composed of, oh, I see. Base composed ability, upgrade ability. Ah. So this is just not gonna work. Inner ability description wrapper. Get upgrade diff description. Do I just pass? Do I just pass the original? Do I just do the same thing? Right, so this is just recursive then. Okay. So the thing that I'm confused by is I need the int original tier int target tier, get upgrade diff description, exclude prefix, original tier, target tier. I think that's all I need to do. So this would be get upgrade diff description. Yeah, original tier, target tier. So this is just going to recursively do the same thing. So because this inner ability description wrapper wraps a composed ability, it basically just calls that get upgrade diff description again. So it's basically recursive because it'll go here and then it'll loop back up here and then it'll go here again and loop back up here. There's not going to be multiple levels of nesting. It's usually just one level, but I think that should work. So we want to test it with the Phoenix specifically. We want to test it with the Phoenix specifically. But let me make sure that the draft works. So wait. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, let's take a gander. Okay, it looks like it works. So the inner ability description wrapper still works correctly. It's going from 8 to 9 fire. It's going from heal 6 to 7, but it's also fixing the draft to coagulation because that's not changing. So yeah, so I think the core issue here was that because I was duplicating abilities when I was generating the description, it was yeah, losing that internal state. But now I'm preserving the internal state. And that works as expected. So what happens when I do this now? We want to make sure that this is not like locking down some tier changes. Okay, I think that's correct. What is a more sophisticated example of something? Interesting. Did I break this? Or does the tapeworm just not scale? Oh. I think the tapeworm is broken now. Unless it was already broken. The tapeworm is just a pain in my rear. Let me try something. I'm going to add all these. I'm going to stash the stage changes. And then I'm going to rerun it with a tapeworm and see if that's broken. It's probably going to remain broken, so then I need to figure out why that's happening. Yeah, broke the tapeworm. So this diff is working correctly here, but it doesn't work correctly when I preserve the references. Why would that be the case? Inner ability description. So it's creating a new ability in here every time. Now I have the opposite problem, I think. Because this is not a stable reference. You know what I could do? Stable poison reference is equal to create opponent chain poison, current poison magnitude. Okay. And then what I'll do in here is I'll say stable poison reference is equal to create opponent chain poison, current poison magnitude. I should probably test this and make sure this is actually working, but let's just not recreate it every time. This essentially does nothing except serve the description. But honestly, like, that's just fine. Let's see if that fixes it. I think it will, but I could be wrong. It did not fix it. What? Okay. Oh, right, because when I call scale for tier... Ah. Oh, wait. Stable poison reference. Okay, this is going to be a pain. I didn't actually solve the problem because this is still creating a new reference. What I need to be able to do is... I'm going to do something a little bit weird. I don't know. This ability is very strange. Oh man, I don't know what to do. I think what I can do, I don't know if this is going to work, but let's do... Bring this out. We're going to do project self-poison. We're going to do something a little bit weird here. Current poison magnitude is equal to 0. That doesn't work either. Create opponent chain poison. I really don't think this is going to work, but let's do... Dupe is equal to project self-poison dot duplicate, dupe dot scale for tier. Oh, what the heck? Ah. Is this even going to do anything? No, that's not going to work. Okay. What am I going to do about that ability? I don't really know. Currently working on a 3D Godot project, and one of the core mechanics is a primitive sort of cellular automata sim layer stored as vector 3 eyes in a sparse dictionary, but performance is lacking. Harsh Billy over here. Do you have any tips to keep from breaking save formats? Oh, this is different. Welcome, Eldrick. I wish I knew more about how to get performance gains. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a performance expert, so I don't really know. Do you have any tips to keep from breaking save formats? Yeah, I mean, generally the approach is like, just don't change anything about the shape of the data. If you're going to add stuff to the save file, it should be stuff that is purely additive, that will just work with existing saves because it's just new data. Because as soon as you start changing the shape of data, or you change like if you're storing in JSON, you change the name of a property, or you change the shape of the data, at that point, then you need to actually write migrations to take the old save structure and reconfigure it into the new save structure, the object structure, or the object shape. And that's the point where you can introduce errors like bricking saves or erasing data. So part of the things that I've been doing during the playtests is like hardening the save file shape as well. So that way, hopefully after Alchemortis releases, if I do need to store additional stuff in the save file, it will just be purely additive, which means that it'll just be backward compatible with existing saves by default. I think that's the main thing, because like adding new stuff is going to, at least with the JSON approach that I'm working, adding new stuff is always safe. I can add whatever properties I want. It's when you have to change how the shape looks, that's when it becomes a problem. How old are you, and how many years experience have you got? I'm 32, or almost 32. I'll be 32 in a couple months. And I don't know, I've been building games since I was 14, so I don't know if that really counts as experience. Like, I don't know how much of my early game development hobby counts as experience, but I've been doing it for a while. Trying to create interactive dynamic materials that can be instantiated as either volumes or surfaces, which have organic rules for how they interact with each other. So far it functions primitively, but man, the performance is crazy after about 20k cells are active in the simulation layer on the host's end. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like an interesting performance problem. I never dealt with that many agents in a sim, but maybe you could check how city builders do it. Yeah, I mean, my basic understanding of performance stuff is like, yes, choosing not to render things that are not in your view, or choosing not to process things that are not in your view, is a big thing. I was looking into like an entity component system, and the way that works, basically, the way that those can be very fast is it like packs all of the stuff into contiguous memory, right? So you have like 10,000 entities, but those all might be driven by, you know, a 10,000 element array, which does not do, I I forgot what it is. I see I'm not very technical, but I think it's like it avoids heap allocations. It uses like structs, which don't need to be garbage collected or anything. So you've got a bunch of stuff in contiguous memory, which means that it's much quicker for the CPU to read from it. I don't know how much control you have over that in like GDScript though, but so putting long strings or long sequences of data in contiguous memory and avoiding like the garbage collection overhead and the memory allocation overhead is important. And then this is something that I need to get more into, but the ECS system that I was looking at, it's also optimized for like the CPU cache, which just might be free as a consequence of using structs and contiguous memory, but getting stuff onto the CPU cache so that the CPU can work with it much faster is a big improvement thing. That's all ECS related though, but I think, yeah, usually the performance stuff is about managing how the things are stored in memory and also not processing or processing the things that aren't immediately in the player's view less frequently, right? So you might have like real-time updates for the stuff that the player can see, but you might be able to do like threaded or background or semi-regular updates for everything outside of the view, right? So like it's usually just like tricks like that, right? Packed arrays. Hello, Fork. Some stellar insight on data shapes. During my last optimization phase, I saw that array access can drag stuff down in Godot. Had a spike in loading times and calling array X a couple thousand times, though it's very lightweight data. Yeah, I think that's where you have to use like the packed arrays. If I'm not mistaken, I think the packed arrays are what I was just talking about. I don't think that the default like Godot array is that, but again, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to be right back in 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. We'll figure out what to do with this tapeworm, so BRB. Okay, I'm back. Cache misses are a real thing. Yeah, performance stuff, I would love to, at some point, do a much deeper dive personally into, like, how to write performance applications and, like, get more low level and figure out, you know, what is actually going on under the hood and stuff. And, like, actually get into a situation where I need to think about, like, memory and CPU cache and stuff. I think that would be very useful for me to learn because as of right now, I know basically nothing about that. But my next project, I'm considering using an ECS system for my next project for good reason. So that might be dipping my toes into the water of such topics, but we'll see. The song always reminds me of Schedule 1. It's been fun, though, just being able to have the primitives work. I'm sure there's a better way to do what I want to do, but it works so far. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's, you know, that's the most important thing, right? It's like validating the idea first and then refining it. You don't, unless you're just doing it as like a tinkering learning exercise. If you're trying to actually get a game out of it, then yeah, it makes sense to just like get something working, and when it inevitably is not performant enough, then you can refine it, right? But it would feel kind of bad if your goal was to make a game and you spent all this work optimizing it ahead of time, and then once you have the result, it's like, wait a minute, that's actually not that cool. It's not that fun. You would have wasted a bunch of time, right? Now, again, with the caveat that maybe you are just primarily interested in the performance side of things and you want to use it as a learning opportunity. But again, like I'm saying, in the context of like wanting to actually make a game, getting to something that is working first is a lot of times more important, or maybe even 100% of the time more important than having something that runs perfectly, right? Learning is the fun part. Yes, I agree. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like the problem with like game dev advice is like it kind of, or game dev like learnings, like the stuff that I share about what I've learned, like a lot of the advice or learnings are highly contextual in like how you're approaching game dev, right? If you're trying to make serious games, then there's like one set of advice, right? But if you're just like, oh, this is a fun hobby and I love to tinker and like I love deep diving into all these little problems, then a lot of the advice is not applicable, right? Like, because it's just a tinkering, it's just a hobby kind of like experimentation thing. Anyway. What am I going to do about this? Do I just remake the tapeworm? I should probably deep dive into why this isn't even working. I think the problem is that, so the inner ability is not being scaled. Oh, do I want to do... No. Original tier, target tier. I am kind of curious why this isn't... Oh, right. Oh. Wait a minute. How am I using this? Okay, I think I know what the problem is. I need to... Is this right? Let me just see if this works. I have another hunch here. Bool skip scaling. Let's see if that works. So I think the problem is that the inner ability description wrapper goes through that same upgrade diff description in the base composed ability, but the problem is the inner ability is almost always scaled based on the outer composed ability, or it always is scaled on the outer composed ability. So even though there's an inner composed ability being wrapped, that inner wrapped composed ability actually doesn't define any scaling at all. The scaling is always controlled by the outer ability. So I wonder if just saying, hey, inner abilities should not apply the scaling, I wonder if that's going to fix it. No. What the heck? Oh, this tapeworm is a pain in the rear, dude. Wait, this one isn't even... Oh. I don't know. Maybe this approach doesn't work. Maybe I need to find a different fix for this issue. No, the fire does need to scale for sure. Interesting. Okay. So that was not the proper fix. Oops. So what's happening here? So we invoke. That's going to return an inner ability description wrapper from a create opponent chain poison with this current poison magnitude. With the 1 magnitude, and then it's going to increase the magnitude. But then it's calling get upgrade diff description on that composed ability. Get upgrade diff description. I guess I still need like an original ability to compare it to. Get upgrade diff description. How is that going to work? I think the approach that I was using here is actually what I need to do for... shoot. Maybe I do need to split these up. Is that the only place where I'm using the upgraded ability? Return upgraded ability, get description. Yeah, I think I can actually... Okay. Let's do this again. So I need the upgraded ability. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. Public string get upgrade diff description. Bool exclude prefix, base composed ability, compare ability. Okay. All right. So here. Oh, no. Do I want compare? No, I want func object compare parameter func. I think that's what I want. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this here. Return get upgrade diff description, exclude prefix. This is just going to be that. Oh, this is going to be a little bit weird. This is going to be, I actually need to capture these. Maybe I don't actually. Maybe I can just, maybe this can just be object new or compared to maybe upgrade parameters, something like that. We pass new parameters there. And we have to keep this one here. upgrade parameters. How did this one change? Yeah, I think I put this back. Can I just do that? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And let's put this one back as well. This becomes upgraded wrapper dot composed ability dot description template parameters func dot invoke. Right? So it goes straight to this version here. Get upgrade diff description. This would be new wrapper. Okay, so I've essentially got two paths, right? I've got the base path, which is that, okay, what's my old tier and what's my new tier? That's going to basically get the previous parameters. Actually, I wonder if I should. No, maybe it's okay. We'll see if that works. But anyway, so I take the root ability, I scale it for the target tier, I capture the new parameters that are output based on that target tier. I scale it back down, then I go into upgrade diff description where I just pass in the new parameters. Okay, now at that root ability, if one of the parameters is an inner ability description wrapper, then what I do is I call get upgrade diff description on that wrapper. And that takes the upgraded wrapper and invokes that description template parameters function. So it goes back to this plain one. And hopefully that will create what I want. And if it doesn't, I guess I'll just figure out why and fix it. There's a video of a talk out there that has performance architecture considerations for big data sets in its core. Search for Bob Nystrom. Is there more to game architecture than ECS? I'm gonna have to check that out. Thank you. I've been enjoying those kinds of videos recently. Definitely been enjoying those kinds of videos recently. Okay, it looks like it's working. Let's see. Nope, now the Phoenix isn't working. I did not think that this was gonna be such a difficult thing to do. So the tapeworm works, but the Phoenix doesn't. So this fire is scaled at the root ability. Do I need to do both? I think I need to do both. Because when it gets down to here, Let's just try this. So parameters, targets here. Should I put the original tier in here as well? Maybe I should. So this is a lot of data to pass around, but so the reason I have to split this up though is I don't want to do the scaling in here for the sake of the inner ability description wrappers. Original tier, target tier. Okay. So I gotta pass that around a lot. That's okay. And then we'll just do upgrade wrapper dot composability dot scale for tier. We'll just scale it back down just in case. This becomes original tier. Okay. A lot of work just to work around this inner ability wrapper. So I think the problem is I've got two different scenarios. The inner wrapper scaling could be controlled by the parent, but it could also be controlled by itself, which is kind of like weird, but that's okay. Apply 8 to 9 fire. That's a good sign. Apply 10 to 11 poison. That's a good sign. So it works with both the tapeworm and the phoenix. This may be a situation where I might have Claude review the code and make sure that it's all sound. So the draft of coagulation is fixed. I think that makes sense, right? I think that makes sense. So essentially, I need this to not, this can't actually apply any scaling. So we get the upgrade diff description from the root ability. That scales, grabs the parameters, scales it back down, then passes in the new parameters, but also like just a marker of like what the original and target tier were. And then when I encounter an inner ability description wrapper, we call get upgrade diff description. We've got the new wrapper here. So this will be a new wrapper that's created. So it's a different reference. We go in here, we say, okay, we're going to scale the upgraded wrapper, which for a wrapped composed ability that doesn't define any scaling, the parameters aren't going to change. But if a wrapped ability does happen to define scaling, those scaling values will be captured in the parameters. So either way, whether the scaling is driven by the root composed ability or whether it's driven by the composed ability inside of the ability wrapper, this approach captures that, right? Because the parameters will always just return the correct number. So we capture the parameters here, we scale it back down. We're essentially doing the same step that we did for the root ability here, which actually makes me think, do I need to do that? Can I call upgrade diff description with just the original tier and target tier? I thought I tried that though, right? So this is essentially the same thing, and that just passes down into it because it's the same. It's essentially the same logic. But for some reason, I thought I tried this and it didn't work. Yeah, see, it's not working here. It's not doing the upgraded poison now. Oh, I'm reading the wrong thing. Oh, this needs to be the upgraded wrapper. .get upgrade diff description. Oops. Oh, updated wrapper .composability. Oh. It was reading the wrong composability. It was reading the composability of this wrapper rather than the upgrade wrapper. Oh. Well, that simplifies things quite a bit. So wait, does that mean that I can go back to what I was doing? I think that was the issue the whole time. So I think I can get rid of this. I can move this down. This would be the upgrade parameters. Was that the entire issue? Is I was just reading the wrong value? This would be nice if I could just do this now. Okay, let's try that. Hello, Vinny. Welcome. Did you figure out how to fix the ability within the ability storing problem? I did, yes. I did. So the way that I approached it is I reworked the card provenance model, the card ability provenance. So now there's only 4 provenance sources: cards, corrupted, legendary, or derived. And then for the alchemy global added ability, this implements an I ability deriver. This says derive ability. This returns the ability that needs to be in there. And so if we look at the card factory, final references, card factory. So we've got this derive here. So if the provenance source is derived, we create the ability from provenance, the inner ability. And then we look at the card ID. Say if it's equal to null, we derive from the provenance key. So this is basically just a way of like reconstructing those dynamically created abilities at runtime. So if there is no card associated with it, then it derives it. It's got this ability derivers, which could be swarm or alchemy added. So alchemy added abilities get created dynamically. Just they're not really defined on or attached to any particular card in a lot of cases. So this is just a way of getting those abilities built from the key. And then otherwise, if there is a card, we can instantiate the card and call derived there. So yeah. Anyway, it's a little bit convoluted as it's going to be, but I did remove a lot of the provenance sources. This is actually a lot simpler now, but again, it's hard to explain like what all is going on here. But yeah. I'm playtesting Alchemortis later today. Thank you, McNeil Gaming. Appreciate that. All right, so 8 to 9. That's not working either. What the heck? Oh no, I had it right before. Putting it back. Yeah, right, because I need to take the base composed ability and then say, here are the new parameters that generates the diff, because if I don't do that... Okay, we're just going to leave it like this. It's fine. Whatever. This works. Yeah, because it wouldn't have generated a diff otherwise. If I was doing upgraded wrapper, composed ability, get upgrade diff description, I'm basically saying, take the upgraded ability and compare it to its upgraded parameters, but that doesn't generate a diff, right? I need to take the base composed ability and then look at the parameters of the upgraded version and pass that in there. And the reason I couldn't just hook into this is because, again, it's scaling the base ability, not the upgraded one. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I just need to maintain like the previous, I mean, it's obvious, right? I need to maintain the current view of parameters and the next view of parameters, the next set of parameters. But with the inner ability wrapper, it gets a little bit weird. So it's fine. We'll just duplicate a little bit of logic here, call it good, and then we can move on. I'm also a solo game dev. Awesome. What are you working on? Anything cool? You can also join the Discord McNeil Gaming if you want to share progress on your projects. I should add the tapeworm to my test. Okay, we're just going to call this good. So let me just do another final check, make sure the draft of coagulation is not showing as upgraded or showing as downgraded, I mean. Okay. Might as well just for good measure make sure that this is working. Okay, it is working. Now, before I do anything else, I want to make sure that this is working as expected. Another tapeworm. There's only one minion here. Actually, that'll be a good test. Okay, it is working. Good. Okay. Anyway. Fix upgrade diff causing ability, let's say board state contingent ability state from being lost. Oh, well, that took quite a while, but that's okay. All right, I kind of want to work on another item though. So let's just do an item. I have a very particular idea of what I want to do. I mean, we'll see. Is birdling a real word? Birdling. Three projects and 2 are platformers. The last is an FPS and all 2D. Oh, that's cool. Titanium Terrium. You mentioned that the tapeworm is a pain in the rear. Could it be different? That's funny. I know you're not much into mobile, but I would love to play this anywhere on my phone. Yeah, we will look into that for sure. Okay. So what I want to do, how am I going to do this? I'm on the wrong layer. This is not going well. That's okay. This small scale is a problem, but we'll make it work. I feel like this head is not correct. Oh, that looks better. Well, we will see. I gotta get this little chicken wing down right. Well, I guess that's probably decent enough. I don't know if I have room for this, but I kind of want to do... I'm almost wondering if I should change the perspective of this. Or maybe I can move this into the middle. Because I want them to look like they're kind of in a nest. Little birdlings. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out for sure. But anyway. Yeah, probably gonna need to center them a little bit more. Do we put like a little... put like a little egg in here too? Like an unhatched one? If I could draw an egg. Or we could make it like a cracked egg shell, maybe. Let's move that over there for now. Yeah, we could put the eggshell like over here somewhere maybe. Maybe in the background. That means the nest is going to have to be like something like this. And this may be too much detail now. That's kind of the core problem. I could always do something like this. That could work. The other problem too is that, let's see, chicken wings. Chicken wings. That looks decent actually. Okay. Now the thing about these little guys is that they are going to be corrupted something. They're going to be little corrupted birdies. So I need to indicate that somehow, I think. Maybe I should do like another eggshell part. I don't know if those really read as eggshells, but I guess we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. We'll see what happens. Do I have room to do like a little bit of a nest here? Maybe I could do like little twigs and stuff. Obviously, it's all like orange right now, so that's going to need to change, but that looks kind of nest-ish, I would say. Yeah, so obviously the colors are all wrong, but just using a flat color to get the shapes down, and then we can start shading. Okay, so for the birdlings, they're going to be corrupted birdlings, so let's color these guys in. Okay, and then we probably want to, let's see, do some shading there. Kind of outline the arm there a little bit. That's probably okay. I don't know about this, but we'll see. Those might be a little bit hard to see, so I wonder if I should use... Should I use like green for the nest? Might look a little bit weird. Yeah, maybe that looks a little bit weird. I wonder... See, the corrupted colors are like red though, so... I mean, let's just try it. Oops. Let's add some more. I might need to change the color of these guys. I mean, maybe not though. Don't want to make it too dark either. Yeah, I might need to change the color of some of this. Could just brighten him up though. A little bit. Yeah, that seems, I mean, that seems okay. This one feels a little bit weird. I'm just going to move it down. Well, I think it's all right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit too noisy. I mean, I could remove that. That might, actually, that looks better. Yeah, that reduces the noise quite a bit. So we get rid of that. Let's put... I don't want to use more orange. I think what I have is good. Yeah. Add some cracked egg pieces. That wouldn't fit well. I think it's okay. I see London, I see France. Hello, Star Cannon. What's your favorite card you have made art-wise? Oh, the favorite card I've made art-wise is a secret. It's the secret item that I teased everyone about that's in the playtest currently. I feel like I shouldn't reveal it. I kind of want it to still be a secret for anyone that hasn't found it, but you'll know it when you see it. So my favorite item is the secret card for sure. And there's a reason for that, because that card specifically was made for my wife. So that one is, and also I think it's some of the best art that I've done in the game. So yeah. But I'll keep it a secret because there's a bunch of people who have not discovered it yet, and I've been teasing it a bunch, so I don't want to just reveal it right now. I think it looks really good. Thank you, V. Someone who just joined the stream, what's this supposed to be? It's 2 birdlings. What a simp. A rabbit shooting fire and turkey. Well, I guess we will have to agree to disagree. Well, we can see how it looks in game. I mean, I'm not opposed to changing the color of these things either, if it would help. The problem is these are supposed to be corrupted birdies, but if it's not clear, I can like make it clearer somehow. The other thing I could do is I could potentially think about just removing these parts because they're adding a little bit of noise. So that kind of cleans it up a little bit. Actually, I think I will clean that up just a bit. Just get some more contrast at these edges there so that it's not competing so much for attention. And I could, if I wanted to, add something like this back. Just very dark background. Although probably not. Let's just get rid of that. We don't need to be too fancy with it. Okay, I think that's probably an improvement. I can see it 100% now. Okay, good. All right, good. Menta Clink. Welcome. At that size, pixel is about context anyway. Yeah, the eggshells. The eggs remind me of dinosaur eggs. Well, that's good. Those look good. Okay. Art at smaller scales is tough. Yeah, it is tough, but I find that, yes, you're right. Like the context helps. So whatever context you can put into the art, I think the eggshells definitely help a little bit at least. But then of course you're going to be able to see the name of the item when you hover over it. So when you see the name and you see the art, even if you don't know what the art looks like at first glance, if it says birdlings, you're like, oh yeah, those are birdlings, right? So my idea for these guys was to make them do something interesting with corruption. Maybe not minion, let's just do alchemical. The birdlings are alchemical, I'm sorry to say. Corrupted birdlings. So let's take a look at the abilities here. So I was thinking about making them only able to receive corrupted abilities. It's going to be kind of like a very situational item, I think. Base ability slot override to 4. Yeah, let's do this. I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do receive only corrupted abilities. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an alchemy ability that gives them a guaranteed corrupted ability every time you use it in alchemy. I think that's what I'm going to do. Scripts, data, ability, composed. Let's do alchemy, add corrupted ability to self. Actually, alchemy add corrupted ability. There's going to be a bunch of problems here, actually. I got to figure out how it's going to work with the other reagents and whatnot. You knew it was 2 creatures, so you're doing something right. Thank you. Hello, Cake Hug. Welcome. Call the birds Albert Einstein. They're facing up, waiting for feeding. Yes, yes. I'll have to think about if I can make that clearer. Well, we can see how they look in the game, too. Let's just copy this, paste this. Adds a keywords.corrupted ability to query target provider to query string template 0. Okay, and then I need to pass in a translation key. Okay, for each of our target card in get cache targets. Private action. Configure query. Private read-only string. This should be read-only as well. All right. So that's looking good. Now I just need to build the functionality. Why are there two? Oh, because. I don't know, I just felt like it would be fun with two. Why did a bunch of the abilities, why did a bunch of the chats go away? You never eat just one chicken nugget. Looks good, thank you. All right, I'm gonna take another quick 3-minute break, and when I come back, we're gonna implement this. So, BRB. Hello, I'm back. Can name Fletchlings from Hell. Assuming the launch of Alchemy Mortis goes well, do you plan to take any kind of break before starting the next project? Maybe just like a short break, like just take it easy for like a week or something. But I mean, the honest thing is, like, I like being busy every day. I like having something to work on. And, you know, maybe as we get closer to release, I'll be like working so much that I just get sick of it or something. But I've got nothing else going on, so, and I like doing game dev. I like being able to come into the project and just make little tiny improvements here and there and fix bugs and stuff. So it's not a situation of like, oh man, I really need a break. It's more so a situation of like, this is what I do. Like, this is my life right now. And I don't really have a desire to stop doing that even for a short period of time. So, but that could change. Like if I start working crazy hard in the, couple weeks leading up to release, maybe I'll feel differently, but yeah, I don't really see myself taking that much of a break. I don't know if I'll start the next project right away though. I mean, this is all future stuff. I almost don't want to think about it too much, but like I'm assuming there will be some work that needs to be done to support Alka Mortis post-release, and there may be some additional content that I want to add to the game. Bug fixes, balance things, that kind of thing. So I don't know if I'll go into the next project right away, but yeah. We need 2 names. We're all rooting for FP Vacation, but this man's a grinder. See, that's the thing though. It's like I don't really feel like it's a grind. It's just this is just what I'm doing right now, I feel weird if I don't do some work during the day. And even if I wasn't working on games, like I would be tinkering with something, So anyway, I need to figure out a way of getting guaranteed corrupted abilities onto items, which is going to be cool, which is going to be good. Added abilities. Do I use the added abilities? Effects.register abilities to add target card. Alchemy corrupted abilities .pick. Oh, do I not have a way of picking random corrupted abilities? Do I really not have a way of doing this? How am I doing it currently? Oh, this is yeah, that's not good. Okay, let's do this instead. Public static base composed ability pick random number generator RNG. Return corrupted abilities RNG.rand_i_range 0 corrupted abilities dot count -1. So we'll do pick random, we'll pass RNG there. I guess this has to be an enumerable. Okay. All right, birdling. New alchemy, add corrupted ability. Oh, I need the translation key. Card, birdling, add corrupted ability. Get rid of that. Oh, I need to store this actually, now that I think about it. Alchemy.set is innate. True. Okay, query target provider dot query options dot query self query only equals true. I think I also need to do. I think I also need to set this to entire board. So it's a little bit weird, but this self query only says, okay, only look for myself. But the problem is that doesn't immediately return the self. What it does is it still follows the board query directions that it needs to check. So all the cells it needs to check, and then it looks and sees if it's in that proper place. So for example, I might want to do something like, if this item is on the right edge of the board, right? And so I need to query for myself, but I also need to check only the right edge. So those two things together, right? Check the right cells and see if myself is in that. And what self query only does is it basically just says, this query target provider is going to return either no results or the self result, assuming that all the other filters match. So the filters are still applicable. It's just determining whether this self item can be in the result set and if it should be the only item. Because I could also do allow self query. And what that does is that makes this self item as part of the rest of the set. So I could get multiple items plus myself, or I could just do myself only. Because by default, the query system excludes the self. Okay, so we add the alchemy here. Then we build. We call one demonic chicken from the depths of hell, and the other one is Joe. How do you think you'll feel when you move the last item off the Kanban board and look for the next task only to find nothing left? Well, it'll be a good feeling. I mean, I'm ready for Alchemortis to be finished. Just because, you know, like, I've been working on it for a while, and I think it's in really good shape, barring some quality of life and balance changes. Lots of people are enjoying the playtest. I'm hearing about people who have like over 100 hours total in all the playtests, which is absolutely just unbelievable. So I think the game, like, I'm in kind of the mode where it's like, okay, it's time to get the game wrapped up and finished. And so, yeah, it's gonna be a good feeling. I think it's gonna be probably a little bit nerve-wracking, you know, as it always is when you put something that you make out into the world and ask people to spend their money on it. And also, you know, it's like, it's the do or die moment, right? It's like, it's the moment where I'm going to find out if I can continue making games full time or if I need to go back to work, right? So there's a lot that's going to happen, but whatever happens, it's, you know, I'm glad I was able to take the time to make this game. And I'm glad that I'm going to be able to get it out into the world and see how it does. And we can evaluate what happens from there. Even if it doesn't do that well commercially, I'm still going to be happy about it because it's the best game that I've ever made, and maybe I'll never top it. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that I can make better games, but you know, you never know, right? You never know. Like, this could be the last game that I ever make. I doubt that, but it could be. I'm sure you'll be fine. I actually wish this right now. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, did I forget to, wait a minute. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Really? Did I spell birdling wrong? Or do I have an error in my alchemy ability? Oh, I never created the query target provider. That would make sense. Deep thoughts with the guy who can't spell belly. Oh, goodness. Welcome, Asymmetrics. Good to see you. Welcome back. I forgot to build the translations again. And it didn't work. Okay. Any day now. Corrupted birdlings. Innate alchemy adds a corrupted ability to this item. Nice. Just keep repeating, I guess. It's got 2 corrupted abilities. So the interesting thing is that it guarantees added corrupted, but then it also has the corruption chance. Now, the thing that I need to figure out how I want it to work. So I may actually take a different approach to this now that I think about it. Because if I add item corrupted rows, I guess I can ask chat here. So this says left and right items cannot receive corrupted abilities. So I'm assuming that means that this ability should be overridden by the corrupted rows. Do you agree with that? Because this says it cannot receive corrupted abilities. So I mean, you can make an argument either way that either one of these should override, but I have to make a decision, right? Like I have to decide which one overrides which. My thinking is that reagents should always take priority. So this is not a reagent, this is just an item, right? So I think the corrupted rows should probably prevent that ability from being added. If you go back to the industry, what do you want to do specialty-wise? I don't know. I mean, I just liked full stack development. So I liked just being a generalist where I was just doing a bunch of random things every day. That was fun. I don't know if I would enjoy my job as much if I just did the same thing every single day. I like having new challenges. I like having new tasks. I like, going into the back end for a couple weeks and then going to the front end and then working on infrastructure, that kind of stuff. Let's change how this works. Actually, I didn't even test it with the rows. Maybe the rows works. Or maybe it doesn't. Because all this does is remove the corruption chance. Oh, corruption protected cards. Oh, wait. Maybe this does work. Actually, there's a good change I could make here potentially. if is immune to corruption, all reagent added abilities is equal to get abilities from reagents. No, is equal to... Is that what I want to do? So I'm just moving that check out here. I'm making it part of the is immune to corruption. Corruption protected cards dot contains. So it becomes immune when the corruption protected cards is there. And then I'm also filtering out any abilities that are added by reagents that are corrupted. I think that's the way to go, because I think it's going to be really hard. The other way to do it is to like... The other way to do it would be to manipulate the corruption chance. So like bump the chance up to 100% for that item specifically. But the problem with that is that you can only ever get one corrupted ability every time. Whereas with this approach, the ability adds a corrupted ability, but then the corruption chance can also add a corrupted ability, which I think is fun. But then I can also still protect that with the corrupted rows. So we'll try that. I guess it's reagent versus innate, yeah. Well, innate doesn't mean anything special in terms of priority. It just means that it can't be removed from the item by typical means. So let's see. Wonder why this is not appearing. Oh, because there's no corruption chance. Why is it not showing immune to corruption? Does it still work for legendary items? Why is the corruption, immune to corruption, not being shown? Why is that happening? Well, let's just run it. So that did not receive a corrupted ability. That's good. Wait, did I break the corruption chance? Why is it not showing the corruption chance? Why is it not showing the corruption chance anymore? When you use a boss soul, is there supposed to be a chance that the item doesn't get the innate abilities and gets corrupted instead? Yeah, I mean, it just follows the normal rules of alchemy. So it just adds those innate abilities, but... Well, I guess maybe there's a problem here. Yeah, so the way the alchemy works is that if it's going to get corrupted, the corrupted abilities always take priority being added to the item before any other reagent added abilities. I guess I can see where the confusion comes from though, because innate are supposed to not be displaceable by corrupted, but the thing is the corrupted is being added to the item before the innate abilities are. So here, this is the ability pool that I'm creating. This is basically the abilities in order that they should be chosen. So it's corrupted abilities first. They always get picked first if they exist. Then the reagent added abilities, which would be what the boss soul is. This is true for everything. So like if I put flint in with an item and there's one ability slot left on the item, if that ability slot gets corrupted, the flint won't take effect because it comes second in the priority order. The corruption chance is still reading as 0. Why is that happening? Did I break this? Did I break this as part of my change? Oh, I broke it, that's why. I don't need this 4 card anymore. I broke it, that's what happened. Okay. Because I elevated all the corruption protection stuff outside of that loop. That makes sense. Okay, let's see what happens now. So Alcahest would proc first. Let me look at Alcahest really quick. Remove all corrupted abilities from top adjacent items. Abilities to remove. Yeah, so the Alcahest takes place before any new abilities get picked. So it removes all the existing corrupted abilities, but that doesn't prevent it from gaining another one as part of the alchemy. But yes, Alcahest is applied first. Makes sense, but since the ability was innate, I thought it'd apply first since boss soul abilities also apply before normal abilities. From what I could tell. Yeah, so the innate... Yeah, I guess I can see where the confusion is there. Yeah, so the way that the code works is that innate abilities are always ordered first in the list. That was mostly like for clarity purposes, so you could see all the innate abilities, at the top. So when an innate ability gets added to an item, the ability list gets reordered so that innates are first. Well, it's technically legendaries are first, then innates. Actually, we can look at that. So yeah, legendary abilities first, then innate, then absorbed, then corrupted. So the corrupted abilities are always grouped together as well. I could use the outcast to remove corruption just for it to gain the corruption back. Yeah, so like, I think that makes sense though, right? Because it's just removing the existing corrupted abilities. Doesn't provide any guarantees about new corrupted abilities being added. So you still want to drive the corruption chance down, right? In the same way, like if you add flint to an item, the flint fire ability will be added, but it doesn't provide any guarantees about any additional items being added, right? Or any additional abilities being added. The unfortunate thing about this system is like, I do have to just define an order for things to happen. And I'm trying to be as consistent as possible. So like whenever something says it removes abilities, that always happens against the existing ability list. Does not apply to anything that might happen as part of the actual transformation of the item in alchemy. So it just removes whatever abilities exist on the item in accordance with its filtering. But then anything can happen after that, depending on what the corruption is or what the alchemy is doing. Alchemist may be my most sought after reagent after this. Okay, anyway, let's see if I got this correct now. 45% chance to gain a corrupted ability. The birdling got double corrupted. Cool. Do I add anything else to the birdling? Maybe I should. Oh, you're right. I had an idea for another ability I wanted to add to it, but let me just... Okay, initial work on birdling. So the reason why I spent so much time on that, though, is because this alchemy ability, somebody suggested creating a reagent that guarantees adds a corrupted ability. So I'm going to use this ability for that reagent as well. Except obviously it's not going to be a self query, it's going to be something else. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to do passive crit chance. So this is gonna be like a buff item. New non-combat composed ability. Constant base crit chance increase is 3. Oh, do I need to make this a float? We'll see. options dot query directions, board inventory component dot query directions dot top edge. I think that's right, actually. I think that's it. I actually don't know how to do this. Some base magnitude ability. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I need a value provider. Oh, value scalar. Okay. It would be cool to have an effect on the item borders for items that are corrupted, just like those got enchanted or alchemized. Well, there is a corruption effect. Maybe it's not visible enough. The problem is, like, you know, the borders could get very cluttered. Like, so alchemized, enchant, corrupted. I mean, I guess it's possible. I suppose I could do that. Adjacent crit chance per corrupted ability. I might, you know what I might do? I think I'm going to remove. Critical chance buff. So like the Morning Star. I think I just called it Mace. So this applies a critical chance buff. This is actually applied by quite a few things. This is like a short-lived buff to critical chance, but I wonder if I should just remove that and just do something analogous. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I won't. Because I'm not really doing a lot of critical chance buffs. Maybe I should just do more. I don't know. I feel like this is underutilized, but whatever. We'll just get rid of that for now. Okay. I need the card data provider as well. Oh, I did this completely wrong, actually. Generic. Return card data provider dot base card dot get. I think that's okay. Okay, this needs to be generic corrupted ability count provider. Let's move this down. Oops. Is that right? Card data provider. I'm going to organize this a little bit better. Okay. Tier. var scalar is equal to ability scalars.make additive scalar 1. Current critical chance increase is equal to scalar base critical chance increase tier. Value scalar.set multiplier. All right, crit chance increase. Increases critical chance of query target provider dot to query string template 0 by 1. Gosh, so much to type. Card birdling. Card birdling critical chance increase per corrupted ability. Okay. Did I do this correctly? Oh, this should be base critical chance increase. Get all composed abilities, count where is corrupted, query everything on the top edge, modify the critical chance of items on the top edge by this value. We scale the current crit chance increase by the number of corrupted abilities. Then we scale the critical chance modification by that value scalar. We have all of the abilities in here, card data provider, and then dynamic critical chance modification. We've got the description, we've got the parameters, and we've got this. Okay. I think that should work. Wonder how many bugs you have left that you didn't account for. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot. Welcome back to the stream, by the way. Good to see you. Let me guess. Oh, I forgot. No, I did it wrong. You see? Per... Okay. Always forget one or two things. I wrote this down as disgusting baby bird naked featherless. Item birdling. Let's call it corrupted. We need the flavor text for it. All right. Increase the critical chance of items on the top edge by 1 per corrupted ability. Okay. Let's add birdling here. So this doesn't have any corrupted abilities on it. So let's add some. %, look at that. And this should be upgradable as well. Three to 4% per corrupted ability. Oh, the problem is that passive ability is going to go away, isn't it? Do I just stack this item with stuff? Because that passive ability could just go away. This might be a hard item to use, actually. Here's what I'll do. I will keep it the way it is, but I will increase the passive bonus. Let's turn the base up to 5 and we'll make the upgrades go up by 2. So it's going to be hard to use this, but that passive per corrupted ability is alchemizable itself. So yeah, I mean, that might be fine. It might be a little bit overtuned, it might be a little bit undertuned. No way to find out until it actually gets in the hands of players, I guess, or myself when I'm playtesting. Why not just give the item more ability slots? Well, the problem with giving it more ability slots is that, you know, it's a 4.2 second cooldown item. It already has 4 ability slots, which is 2 more. Is it 2 more? I think it's 2 more than it can already have, right? And if I introduce reagents like I want to in the future, which can completely remove all abilities, even innate ones, now you've got a low cooldown item, which is relatively small, that has 4 ability slots on it, right? So if I increase the ability slot count to 5 or 6, that just exacerbates that problem. Yeah, it's got 4 slots already, so I think the approach I took is fine. Just increasing the base critical chance increase. That innate ability could still be useful on it for certain corrupted builds, and that passive is probably going to be more useful if you put it on a different item. So yeah, I mean, I think it's in a relatively good spot. I mean, I think it's going to be, again, it's going to be one of those situational items, but it probably can be pretty strong if you massage it a little bit. So yeah, I think we'll call it good for now. All right, I do need to do the flavor text for that, but I do that off stream. Anyway, it is now lunchtime for me. We got a 3-hour stream in, but that's good. Fuse the birds together. Maybe I might touch this up a little bit, but I think it's decent. If I stopped here with this item, I think that would be fine. But anyway, that's gonna be it for the stream for today. I mean, I might stream later. Actually, it depends on like what I've got going on, but I still have a bunch of stuff, like all this to-do list is stuff that I need to get done for the demo, and reworking the tutorial is something that I need to do. So I should probably prioritize this, actually. Rework tutorial. I need to add rebindable controls for the demo. I should probably like stop goofing around and like do this priority stuff. And I've got a couple of bugs here to do as well. Okay. Well, we're getting down to the wire here. We got a lot of stuff to do still. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being here. The playtest is still available. It is going to be ending this week. So I don't know exactly when. I'm coordinating with my publisher on when we want to take down the playtest, but it is happening sometime this week. So if you want to get your final runs in or try the game for the first time, now's your chance. Just click the request access button. You'll get instant access. And then you won't be able to play the game again until the demo. And unfortunately, the demo is going to actually have less content than the playtest because it's going to be the actual demo build. So I'm stripping content out of the demo build. Hopefully, you'll still be able to have fun with it, but the next time you'll be able to experience the full experience of Alka Mortis will be at release. So get your final playtests in. If you're interested, give the game a wish list. I'd appreciate that. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye-bye.